Well, good evening, everybody. As you can see, I've dressed up especially for tonight's final show of the 24-25 championship season, brought to you by the Block 9 podcast. Yes, we've got through and we've made it through our first show and first one of a campaign season. So, yes, unfortunately, it's sadly the last championship campaign one, though, as we are now heading into League One. So, the Great Escape sadly didn't come off for all of Muslich's and his backroom staff and the players' efforts. We just couldn't muster it. Relegation pretty much sealed, to be fair, after the Rooney tenure. But what a fight we put on to try and survive. And, depending on what happens with recent events, let's hope that brings a lot of positives to what we can look forward to in League One. So, before I introduce who's on tonight's show, just to bring you a bit of what we're going to go through tonight. So, firstly, thank you everybody that's joined us so far. If you can please retweet the show, that's much appreciated as we try and build and grow what we're doing. But we're going to start off with a bit of a quick review of the Leeds game, of course, why not? Brilliant game that was to watch from an Argyle point of view. Ended obviously right at the end with Leeds then clinching the title, deserved title, and congratulations to Leeds United on winning that, and Burnley for also getting automatic promotion. We're then going to dive in. We've got, yes, it wouldn't be us if we didn't have a presentation or two, would it? So we've put together our 2020, our 24 and 25 championship season recap. Yes, folks, unfortunately for you, we're going to have to relive that Rooney tenure just one more time. We also then, after that, have our Block 9 player awards to bring to you. And then we'll also summarise and close out. So without further ado, good evening to Gavin. We also have Nick from PAFC Displays joining us tonight. Carl and also Steve. How you all doing, gents?
I feel I didn't get the memo about the dress code.
No, I thought kept that quiet, didn't he?
I always like to surprise with my intro.
He's
Come on, you should know that by now.
I feel overdressed.
In this game, he was sat there naked in his duds. We go make a cup of tea on the intro, and then he comes back from suiting the booty.
There you go. You see, making that putting that effort in. So, Nick, thanks for joining us tonight. Sort of a lot going on your side. We'll touch upon that later, but appreciate you coming in as we look to recap this season. You're not feeling too well, so we don't know how long you'll last, but I think viewers, we can keep him in for the show. What do you reckon, Nick?
We'll see what we can do. I'm like I say, I am suffering. I've been suffering with a cold for the last couple of weeks, so I'll soldier on. I'll be brave.
Excellent. And Carl, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Gonna look forward to this pod.
Yeah, it should be a good one. At least you're donning your Argyle shirt there. And Steve, how are you feeling today as well?
Not too bad, thank you. Nice day off work today.
Good. Yeah, it's Bank Holiday Monday, so I hope everybody's had a good long weekend. I'm sure those Leeds fans did, and I'm sure even after the mess, those businesses on the Barbican benefited from that, that's for sure. So without further ado, let's quickly sort of summarise on the Leeds game. So I'm just going to move us to a group shot. So it was the last game of the season, but Gavin, we saw what Muslich has been building on. Yes, we had, the likes of Katic and Pleggy. Pleggy missed the whole game. Katic obviously came on as a sub, and a nice little surprise with Soranola as well at the end there. But we were so structured, disciplined. It was brilliant. Yes, Leeds had a lot of possession, but we held them back. And Bundu pitting on two incredible efforts. The one before the goal and then the goal, tearing up the Leeds defence.
Yeah, I wish he didn't have such a good game, I have to say, but there we are. Yeah, we were great. First half, I thought we were exceptional. I really did. Went in very happy at half time. I thought our defensive structure was very, very good. Midfield was fantastic. For a young Caleb Roberts, who's only plays against Leeds, which can be good for your CV. Let's be candid.
I think that's in his contract now, Gav. He has to play against Leeds every season.
The poor bugger's got the worst record of starting games for the club. What a bloody thing! I think he have one. He maybe had one extra time in the FA Cup, and that was as good as it got. But him and Randall were very good. Edwards added some good structure, I thought, defensively, and was sound through most of it. Funny again, I had a good game, and up top we look electric, don't we? When we can break at pace, those three. Whether they're going to be there next season or not is a different conversation. But those three are a big handful for a team as capable as Leeds, who walloped 5-0 Bristol City the game before.
Yeah.
So yeah, good goal. I'm disappointed Bundu didn't hit the other side of the post with that early one. I must admit, from where we were sat, I thought it just blazed wide, and then saw the highlights again this morning and went, "Oh my god, that smashed off the post." Didn't think about it at the time. So now we're much improved, and it's the guy sat behind us. I know you were with me yesterday, Mike, but the guy sat behind us is a qualified referee who knows Roger really well. Gets club statistician.
Is that who he was? Yeah, he seemed to talk a lot about the game. Yeah.
So he's an ex-Football League referee. He's done League 2, League 1 and Conference. He's retired now. The last time he was there, Rooney was in charge, and he tapped me on the shoulder after 10 minutes and went, "What the hell's this guy done to the team? They look so much more competent." So we chatted through the game. So it was really nice to see someone actually who hadn't seen the team live for a number of weeks or months. Oh yes, Roberts did play in the 90. Thanks, ED PAFC. You're absolutely
Evening
right.
to you as well.
He's got one win to his belt then. Fair play to the boy. And he only plays against Premier League or recently Premier League sides. Unless he's got the socks. So I'll stand corrected there and doff my hat in the CD direction. Well, yeah, I thought we were as good as we could be. One of the goals I thought was quite sloppy. The goal, I think Edwards and Hardy are both a little bit naive in letting the cross come across. But all in all, I thought we were very competent. What a difference of performance between Leeds away, where we started with, I think, 8 defenders or 7, and a team that can actually structure and go forward. Not one shot on target up there, and arguably we should have had 2 or 3 goals. Hardy in the last few minutes, blazing one wide with his left foot, thinking he's I don't know, Chris Waddle or something, with his left peg, and actually poor old Adam Randall stood in space going, "I've got to tap in, why don't you use me?" So vastly contrasting performances home and away against Leeds. Leeds deserve their victory, didn't they? They deserve their championship. They're the best team of the league by a country mile, I think, for the whole season.
Yeah.
So we probably worked out right, but I think it gave the guys a lot of pride, and we were good enough, and probably should have had a draw, in fairness.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, the Bundu's performance. I mean, when you're sort of suddenly coming to the end of your contract with Argyle, and you started to turn it on under Mueslich, his recent performances have been brilliant. He had some, poor games prior to all that. But the first effort that Gavin alluded to, where he clipped the post and went wide, was just like, oh my god, wow! He seemed on it in that game. The pass from Poulsen to him for his actual goal,
Brilliant,
and the way
wasn't it?
he just tore up the defense, driving forward as well to finish it. Yes, off a rebound, but still, it doesn't matter how they go in, does it? I mean, just phenomenal ending for him.
Yeah, no, I mean the last 2 months of the season, I think he's been superb. It's frustrating because we could have done with that earlier on in the season as well. Obviously, not really the same role as what he was under Rooney, but he seems to have found a position in where Mušić found him a position where he seems to be thriving, and he's ripping people apart. And at the moment, I think if the season had gone on 2 or 3 more games longer, I think his form alone would have been enough to keep us up. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. Like I say, if you'd have taken the season, if you'd have taken his time at Argyle before Mušić come in and said, "Would you give this guy a new contract at the end of his 2 years?" You probably wouldn't have said yes. You'd have probably said no. We'll go. We'll let him go, and we'll take a risk on somebody else. But
Evening, Cat.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass. But the last 2 months, he's just turned into no arguments about it, our best player and our most competent player that we've had in the squad. And it's just such a shame that we could potentially lose him.
Yeah, I think it's
on
going
a
to be an
free as well.
interesting one, isn't it, on whether or not, what offers will he get? Because, sort of a few games doesn't make of the man for the
Of course it
season,
doesn't.
but it's certainly in the right sort of style of play, that Music employs. Not to everybody's cup of tea, as we know, and we discussed many times, but yeah, he seems to thrive in it. But he was coming back in, down that left channel as well, defensively to support. And every time he wanted the ball, sort of Gavin and I discussed it, it's almost like he wants it to be the Bundu show today. Like he wants to pit himself out there.
I mean, on the transition, that front three and in the last 2 months have been absolutely terrifying. They are. I mean, they made a. I wouldn't say they made them look silly, but at times they were a real threat against Leeds, and that's a championship defence that's won the league and conceded very few goals, and the team itself have scored nearly 100 goals this year. And on the transition, we were superb, and I think that front three. Again, like I said, going back to the Bundu comment about if we had a few more games, they'd have kept us up. I think that front three, a few more games, we'd have been absolutely fine.
That three in League One would be 20 goals apiece each.
Easily.
So,
And that's why that front three won't stay. I'm like I say, there was an option to buy for TJ in the loan deal. Not sure what that set looks like if we got relegated. Whether that's an option to buy still, even if we go down, is someone going to want to take that risk in playing League One, drop down into League One? Who knows?
No.
It'll be an interesting couple of weeks, and I'm sure the retained list will come out within the next day or two. It usually does come quite soon after the final game of the season. And I'm sure it'll be on there what contracts have been offered and what players have decided to take those offers up.
My gut feel, Nick, is we'll see one of those three next year. And it's the one who's not been on a permanent contract with us so far. I think we'll see TJ and the other two will go, which would be a shame, but there we are.
Yeah, so just as Argyle actually says, evening, I'll read out some of the comments and people. Good evening to you, Archie. Also hosts the Pilgrims pod, another great pod I like to listen to myself. And at least he did let our mugs go back with Nick Carl after him and Tom Kirk. I do have the photo. I might bring it up later, Archie. Bundu, 28-year-old, next contract is huge. Wondering if we can compete with offers. I think if people look at the whole season, Carl, that's where the decision on Bundu may come from. Is there better options out there for the money? I think we'll soon find out. I think we've put him on the map effectively with this last part of the season. We brought him in obviously to give some options under Foster, and yes, he did get that extension. But look, we'll see what happens with it. But TJ as well, he's probably not worth the sort of potential price tag that they'll want for him with the option to buy. But I do think, Carl, there is a player there with TJ that could be very influential in League One.
Oh, hands down. I mean, he fits Music's system to a T. I mean, he's big, he's strong, and I always believe that when he was fit and he had a run of games, that we'd see the best from him. So obviously scored a couple of goals as well. I think he suits the system. I'm not 100% sure now where Bundu's best position is. Is it down the middle or down the left? For me, it's down the left now. We need to incorporate a big strong man up front. So I think that's the way we have to go going forward if Bundu stays, of course. And I'm now joined with Sophia. But yeah, for the price we can try and get for him, I think it's going to be probably our best option. Because if you go down looking for Jatta again at Notts County, I think he might be probably priced out of a price range for us. He's probably going to be, hard to get, because we tried to get him in January, didn't we? It didn't quite happen. So
no. So go on, Gavin.
I said Jatta's only got 12 months left on his contract now, so he'll be in Coopersville all over again. So
I'm sure we're not the only club looking at him, though. That was my point. It's going to be more of a tussle. I think we know what TJ can offer. I think then trying to sign someone like Jatta again, who's an unknown at this level, and potentially even higher if we go back up.
You are both, because I wouldn't say to Johnny's going to play 46 games next year.
No. And we don't know with his injuries either if he can keep himself fit for a season. So that's always that risk as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So So look, Steve, just to wrap up the Leeds one, fair play to them. We put in a good show. If you read the comments from the Leeds fans, respectable to the way we played. A lot of fans actually this season, commenting. I put a lot of my own content as well out on TikTok, and the reaction from Saturday's game was really, really good. Look, I think fair play to them, but it's a great sign of things to come if we can keep that backbone, Steve. Oh, hang on a second. Let me just, because you muted. My apologies. There we go.
Am I?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Obviously, there's lots of positives going forward, especially obviously the performances since the international break has been absolutely excellent from the whole team, apart from the Swansea game. Obviously, those front three are on fire, and if we could keep maybe one or maybe two of them, I'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, let's see what happens. We didn't want to touch too long on the Leeds game. It wasn't really, anything that really affected us. I suppose the only difference is if we'd have got that win, it would have been, although frustrating to end on a points difference, but nice to end on a positive. But from an experience point of view, and actually, just to end this segment on this, the whole atmosphere, when you consider what happened on with the press conference on Thursday, that caused all sorts of hoo-ha, as we discussed that on the live lounge that night. But there didn't seem to be any negativity around. The atmosphere was great, as Steve Riggs has just put in the comments. Evening, Steve. How quiet were the Leeds fans until the 91st minute? On a par with Liverpool for the quietest fans of the season for me. Shredded nerves. You could really put that down to. But it's what a way to win it as well at the end.
I don't think you can go to any stadium in this league or even lower at a club that's been relegated and have an atmosphere like that from the home fans. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant. I think there was an acceptance of, we're down, we're out, but at least the players have shown the fight to try and keep us in this division. Like Nick said, if we had a couple more games, hands down, we would have stayed up easily.
I was walking back from the tunnel area on Saturday, so I supervised the Guard of Honour stuff because it's something that PFC displays provide. We provide the flags there for the Guard of Honour as well, and I supervised that on a match day. And as I was walking back around, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who I was with at the time, and I said, "You would not think that this was a club that's just been relegated. The noise when walking in front of that Davenport end was just deafening. It was something else. It was just like spine tingling. I mean, you wouldn't get that. I mean, I guarantee Cardiff wouldn't have sounded like that if they were at home. Were they at home on last game of the season? I don't know, but even if they were, it wouldn't have sounded like that.
No. So just it was and the beautiful sunshine as well. Go on, Gav.
Yeah, one thing I say is if there was anything on it, that referee wouldn't have got him alive, would he?
No, he wouldn't.
I don't think I've seen blatant cheatery like that. I actually turned to Mike halfway through the game and said, "Do you think there's only one trophy that's in Plymouth?" As the FA rung and said, "For fuck's sake, get Leeds to win this game, because we got one trophy and it ain't in Burnley." Oh my goodness! I know we've had some shockers this year, and I know there's nothing on it, but that was just cheating. It was horrific. The whole game, linesman our side of the Mayflower and the referee, the other guy I think had a reasonable game, it was like myopic, I think was the word I used at the time. So that's the only thing I would add. If there was a ref watch, if this was something on this, ref watch would have taken an hour.
Yeah. It was one job, Lino, and you had one job, ref.
I tell you what, if there was something on that game, you would have had another letter through the post.
Yeah.
If I would probably be in cuffs because I'd have followed him back home, got on the end where he pulled in for services and kicked the lumps out of him because he was horrific.
Exactly. Right, just going to switch back. Just want to read some comments out that we've had in tonight. But firstly, thank you, everybody that's joined us tonight. It's good to see you in. We are streaming across the Block 9 channels, as well as myself, and also tonight, Carl, as well. So those that follow Carl that haven't seen our show before, If not, why not? Then welcome, and we thank you for joining. So Marcus, who normally comes on the show with us, started with us early on as well, is unable to attend at the moment, but he's in tonight. So good evening, Marcus. Hope you're well. No Andy tonight. I thought we all needed a counsellor by now. Andy, sadly, is out tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't get out of that, and he would love to be in here. He may make it in later. Andy has been with myself and Carl on this journey when I set it up, and yeah, it's a shame that we couldn't get him in tonight. As we said, PAFC was in tonight, just correcting the Roberts play against Brentford for the full 90. Good to see you in. Ben Collins as well. Good to see you in as well. I hope you're enjoying your Block 9 mugs. So walked past us actually, Carl and Gavin, outside the hospitality windows. So we'll look forward to catching up. Mark Watson as well. Good evening to you, Sarah. In tonight, evening lads, yeah, evening to yourself too. We scroll down. We've also got Graham is in tonight. Has joined us for a while now. Evening. If we weren't robbed by several referees, would still be up. Absolutely. And also, let me just check the rest here. Andy Prowse. Good to see you, Andy. And I think that was your comment in the message that DM to us on the Block 9X. So if that is the case, really appreciate the comment. He's put Miron pitting his family in Argyle kit when he got home is good enough for me to think he's staying to do a job for us. Hopefully players stay with belief of going back up. Absolutely. And a certain person caused a bit of a stir with that video, which we'll come on to later. So Sarah also says, let me just move that. Ref was definitely corrupt, to be fair. Most of them have been. Yeah, it was awful in there. And speaking of the man himself, Voodoo, good show. I'm watching from Miron's Austrian chalet. So that's, I tell you what, on that note, just before we go into the presentation, let's just bring up that clip that Voodoo does his raps, his mashups of videos. He's had a few good ones this season, to say the least, but this one, if you haven't watched it, it caused a huge stir when Miron got on there and basically said, Voodoo, you bastard, I haven't stopped laughing since watching that. And actually, do you know what? It put a smile on everybody's face. And I think even Miron himself, after trying to get us over that line, leaving dejected, empty, disappointed, it was great to see that comment. Let me just run this for you now.
Jetzt bleibst du 7 Wochen.
Ja.
Genießen oder hat es heute geschlossen?
Heute ist geschlossen, aber sobald offen gemacht, okay?
Ja, wie heißt das?
Ah, die kenne ich ja gar nicht.
Das ist eigentlich ein Geil.
And there's the photo at the end. So yeah, it was a brilliant bit of work on the captions, as always. I'm just going to as well with one final one. I've got another one that Voodoo's videos that I thought was brilliant from earlier on in the season that he shared with me. I'm just trying to find a photo. As I mentioned earlier, I was like, I'm going to pick this up. So that's Argyle Archie from Pilgrim's Pod and Tom Kirk there with a Block 9 mug. That was Carl knows Nick Giannotti and speaks to him regular, so sent him a mug, and these two went to steal the mug off him. No, they didn't. They gave it back. But yeah, I'm pitting your mugs on the show tonight. So yeah, fair play to them. Great show, as is all the other pods that we're spoilt for choice with as Argyle fans. Right, cracking on to the presentation. So let me just get to the slide. So this is our season recap, a season of two halves, two managers, you know, of despair with the first half and that almost in the second. So Gavin's put this together to go through that. So look, this is not a death by PowerPoint, folks, but something we tend to do on our live lounge shows, which are on a Thursday night, is we tend to sort of pit topics together. And we've previously done things like investment. Yes, that investment. Is it incoming? We've done Gavin, who's experienced in that side of thing, and mergers and acquisitions. We did a whole piece on that. We've done mental health when, you know, going through the phases for a player and for a fan. So we've done a few of these now, and we look to bring you more in the new season. So without further ado, Gavin, I'll take this one over to you to start off.
So just a caveat, I've tried to be glass half full, right? It's pretty hard trying to put a season review together when you've been battered as many times as we have, and trying to put a rolling the proverbial turd in glitter. But I've tried to do my best. This could have been suicide watch, and I think we need Andy here to call us all off the bridge. I'll try to make it some kind of positivity. So there we go, just as a caveat. Next slide, please, Governor. You're the one in charge, not me.
There we go. Yep.
There we go. So, first off, hope to heartbreak. Well, some hope. I think I was driving back from a meeting in Kettering when James Greenacre rang me and said, "Oh, I think we've been booked to do a Wayne Rooney manager announcement at the theatre." I went, "You fucking what?" I think everyone was a little surprised, weren't they, about the announcement of who was going to be the manager. I don't think anyone called that one until he was 1-30 on or whatever it was. So I think we always had to give him a big dose of benefit of the doubt. And there he was, clad in his Argyle gear at the China Fleet Club or St Mellion, wherever it was. And off we went, didn't we, on a little ride. He promised us great football and wonderful entertainment. We got some of that, I suppose, depending which way you look at the world. And it didn't really turn out that way, did it? So there we were, giving ourselves the best chance possible under the wizard. He brought an inexperienced assistant coach with him, which I didn't think helped. And there we are. So appointed May 25th. Expectation, vision, experience, expansive football, winning mentalities were promised. Obviously, for those of a certain take in Twitter, he was obviously hired on his underlying data, according to the chairman. So I'll get that one in for those guys who love all that. And the reality was, it was very inconsistent. We got hammered some weeks, and some weeks we looked like Real Madrid. I think at home, I was happy to watch it. Away, I was looking through my fingers most of the time, like most of the Green Army. And then towards the end, devoid of ideas. Every time we conceded one goal, it was like a sandcastle at high tide. It just collapsed. Mentally fragile. But the only positive point was he can really belt out a tune at karaoke.
I added that one in there at the end when we were finalising the slide deck, and I thought, yeah, that memorable moment of him in the cider press. Deary me.
Look, if you're going to have a manager who's going to go out and meet the public, 10 pints of beer and you know, the only way is up by Yaz and the Plasma Population or whatever he sung is definitely as good as any.
And Gavin, he also did an episode of Let's Look Through the Keyhole as well, didn't he?
He did. Lloyd, in a house like this, David, it's over to you. Yeah, yeah. Lovely bathtub, if I remember rightly. I was quite jealous about that one, I have to say. In the middle of the room, you know, double jets and all that. Very nice indeed. But there we are. So in a flash, we got to New Year's Eve. Didn't look great, did it? I think I was at Bristol City with Mike. Yeah, I know I had to sit in the car for 2 hours up until I was back with Mike.
Poor sod.
Absolutely.
Like that episode of the what's it called, where they're pouring paraffin over each other, Airplane. Stabbing myself in the gut with a knife and pouring paraffin and slapping myself over. Trying to get away.
We don't condone violence on this
don't,
pod.
No. How many ways can you kill yourself on the M5? Although it did snow, I think, on the way home. And we were stuck for some time. 3 wins, which was interesting. Six draws, 14 losses, 36 goals conceded.
Well, actually, get a lot of those draws as well gave some memorable last-minute moments.
Well, they did, in fairness. At home, you know, you're 3-0 down and then you draw 3 each. I suppose that was a benefit, wasn't it? But I suppose to summarise, Rooney and the guys can chip in when they want in a minute. But when it was good, it was very, very good. And when it was bad, it was horrid, to coin a phrase. Yeah.
I think if you can, you know, just before as I just clicked the slide, but, you know, when you look at that painful sort of side to Rooney's tenure and what ultimately did, you know, cost us, you know, Nick, some of those last minute goals, they will still live long in the memory, because they were just moments like that to experience at a full home park are just incredible, aren't they?
Everyone loves a last minute goal, don't they? If you're losing and you score a last minute equaliser, it feels like a win. If you're on the other end of it, it feels like a defeat. And I mean, everyone, as I say, everyone loves a last minute goal, but it was just too often, wasn't it? I mean, we were literally like you say, we collapsed too many times and conceded too many goals, and they were soft goals as well that we conceded.
Yeah.
And we should never have put ourselves in that position. We were cut open far too easily. I mean, you can see that. I mean,
Yeah,
14
36.
defeats and 36 goals conceded. It's just not good enough, is it?
Yeah, New Year's Eve and we're minus 21 on the goal difference already.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. I mean, we were promised attacking football. And I think when the football itself, when they were passing it around and moving the ball around in attacking, looked all right.
Mm.
The problem was, as soon as the ball got turned over, we were cut open like a knife through butter every time, and there just seemed to be that lack of willingness to deal or knowledge of how to deal with the ball being turned over. And yeah, it was just not good enough.
No, it wasn't, and I think sort of, ultimately it didn't have an impact in the end, but that goal difference almost, after the Preston defeat, that really sealed it, didn't it? Because of the difference and the swing that needed to happen.
I mean,
Sadly,
I tell you what, looking at that
times.
table, look at Millwall. What form they were in second half of
that's
the
a
season.
good point, Carl. Yeah.
Jesus.
One step from the playoffs, and then New Year's Eve we were down there. Yeah.
So we then end up at the Cornish Supporters Forum, and obviously that talk about investment. Touch upon that later. But then obviously, the question was asked about getting Rooney the right staff he needs. So yeah, Gavin, over to you.
Yeah. So I actually quite like. When you saw Pete Shuttleworth on Argyle TV, likeable, knowledgeable. Seems to know his stuff. Good foil for Rooney, detailed guy. But he obviously didn't get it, did he? Or he didn't have the staff buy-in or the player buy-in or whatever it was. Or maybe there was just no game plan coming from Wayne Rooney and he was just picking up one as he went along. But he seemed really qualified. And I thought, he's a good guy. But then obviously he left and there were rumours around he didn't like Wayne Rooney's lifestyle and he couldn't put up with it. Blah, 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 and all that. They were living together, I think, for a bit in the William Yard. So maybe he was just getting disturbed at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 nights a week. Who knows?
I hope he wasn't in the bath when they walked in.
Yeah, well, yeah, Robert Ducky. And then, they brought Phelan in. I actually, so the first game Phelan was in, I thought, we look a bit more of a defensive structure here. They've done something in the 4 days he was with the team. But too little, too late, wasn't it? It was really interesting. I think it was TalkSport, wasn't it, at the beginning of the season when they said, Wayne Rooney was announced and Phelan was on TalkSport. And they said, would you go and work with him? And he said, I'm waiting for the phone call. He obviously never got it. I think that was probably the defining moment of Rooney's demise, because I think if he brought Mike Phelan with him, we probably would have had a bit of better backbone, and I think training would have been more organised, etc., etc. So who knows? In a parallel universe, we might be sitting mid-table.
How many games was he here for?
3 or 4, I think that was it.
Wasn't many, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, and they were all come bang, bang, bang. It's not as if he had like
any time
sitting or a international break to sit and get some structure in. So it's a real shame, actually, and I thought he did really good. And then
just a quick one as well. Just Pilgrim Petey correcting it was 4 games. So apologies for the error. When putting this together, trust me, this is not a 10-minute job. So, but we appreciate pointing out that. So yes, it was 4 wins.
Thanks, PT, for making me look a twat. I appreciate your feedback. This is me trawling through lots and lots of data. So thanks for that, Sam. Appreciate it. It was all too little, too late. I think with regards to the bringing in of Phelan, and if he'd done it earlier. But saying that, some people might say, well, he should have been sacked 4 games previous, and therefore Phelan never would have arrived. So it's twixt and between, and it is 6 and 2 3s. And then of course, New Year's Eve, we all got the New Year's Eve present we probably wanted, which was the mutual consent thing. And there's Andy Parkinson with his lovely words, saying they left by mutual consent. One thing I will say about this whole scenario is credit to Wayne Rooney by saying, "Don't pay me any money, I'll go."
Yes, good point.
So, because he was on a 3-year deal, I think. So that would have cost us a few quid, and then we'd have been paying 2 managers.
Gavin,
Yeah.
In that picture on the far right, that's not Michael O'Leary, is it? With the scarf on.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. They've just done the plane deal for next season.
Oh,
I
I just realised that. Then I thought, oh god.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that for those that aren't aware, that went around the socials about a zoomed-in photo of purporting to be Michael O'Leary. It certainly wasn't. Also, do you want to read out the Andy Davis tweet there, Gavin?
Oh yes, yeah. For those who listen in the car, this one I trawled, and this one was the best one that made me chuckle the most. So, Andy Davies on Twitter on the 29th of December says, "Whoa, Rooney's on a bender. Whoa, let's sack him in December." And then, whoa, we never win away. So I thought that was just probably the most sum up tweet of the Green Army ever, without being rude or direct or a little bit personal towards Wayne and his family. When there were a few of those as well. It was a good time to sack him, to give him that early Christmas back with the family, I suppose.
Yeah, and speaking of obviously the CEO Andy putting out updates, obviously that one straight after the game, trying to sort of stem and quell the sort of disarray after the Miron press conference. Look, the only thing, we haven't got this as a point to bring up. I just wanted to touch upon it quickly here. Let's see what happens. The proof's in the pudding. If this director of football is very close, let's hope it's a good one, and then let's hope we can get things sorted and knuckle down, because we want Music to sort of come out and give that commitment, as he always asks the players to do the same. So it is a bit uneasy when he doesn't do that himself in 2 press conferences. But look, we'll soon find out. Right, let's move to the next slide. If my mouse can work. There we go.
Oh, so then there we are. We're all putting our money on certain Stephen Schumacher to be the next manager, ploughing in when he was, I think, 1-28 PP. Go on, tell me I was wrong now, and it was 1-29. I don't know actually what the odds were, but they were very steeped in his direction. And then you open up the browser again, and all of a sudden he's at 10-1, and this random guy we've never heard of called Miron Buzlic is odds on. He obviously interviewed well, but saying that, we know him now, he probably did. So having all of us, I think, thinking that, including probably Stephen Schumacher, from what I heard, he was texting the guy saying, "I'll see you all tomorrow at the Brentford game. I've got the job." And then he didn't. So I don't know whether that was a bit of comeuppance for leaving us from our dear board, or whether genuinely they sat down and did the pros and the cons. And we got this chap. So he turns up, obviously got a little bit more facial hair than the previous guy, and looks a bit dapper.
He's got a lot more grey hairs now, though, isn't he?
Well, that photograph actually is him in the stand, if you see Simon's behind.
Yeah, from Brentford.
So he's still a little bit salt and pepper before he arrives, although he's just been sacked by Circular Bruce. So I imagine he didn't have the most relaxing time in the world, back end of his Circular Bruce contract.
So Gavin, just to bring up on this one, so the board get criticised a lot, absolutely. So for some of the decision making, since the Foster appointment, etc. Dewsnip has moved on and all that jazz. But when I'll hold my hands up. I mean, I thought let's go with Schumacher, because we go back to what some people say never go back and all this sort of stuff. But when Miron's name came out, there was certainly an air of sort of concern and surprise. Have the club made another poor decision? Who is this guy? He's currently not. He was sacked by his club, Circular Bruges, as you noted, Gav. So it caused a lot of stir. We did obviously a show on it as we went in to digest a bit about what Miron is about. And his tenure didn't start well, did it? So it certainly got the Twitter fan base, or the X as it's known as now, up in arms.
Yeah. Look, I don't think anyone knew who he was, what he was doing, what he stood for. I think there was a reasonably good explanation of why he was hired, around him taking a team that's underperformed from the relegation zone into Europe. There were probably
who are you picking out in the stadium there at the back row? I can see your hands in
the back of the.
I'm just chucking out one of the Leeds fans.
Just dived into the back of the Kawasaki stand there. or the Babcock stand actually.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't think anyone knew, and probably like a lot of other people, I was frantically Googling and researching on Twitter and anything I can get my hold of. Who is this guy? What does he do? And how does he do it? His day one performance was pretty impressive, I think, with the speech, and that went viral and all that good stuff. But I don't think anybody in their sane mind who was a Janner would have sat there and said, Shuey's back and he's keen to come back to the club. He knows the team, he knows the players, he can get us purring again. Would have said that someone from left field would have come in and gazumped him, I suppose, if that's the right word, at the post. So that was interesting. And I imagine there'll be a couple of people sat in the back room of the board going, and that'll teach you for leaving us, son. But there we are. So,
and the viral team talk, incredible as it was.
I've never seen anything. I mean, the Wayne Rooney one was like, fucking we're gonna fucking smash him, again. This was very different, wasn't it? It was articulate, it was passionate. He held the room. He's obviously a very good public speaker. We all know that now. He's a master of communication. And to lay your stall out in such a way, and then for have someone in the club to go, we might want to pop this on socials and see what our fans think about it. And then there's 4, 5, 6 million views after a day, and clubs from all around the world going, I want this guy to be my manager. I'll run through a brick wall for him. Was I thought a masterstroke, in fairness. And some of the quotes that we've popped up here, I'll read them for those who are listening. Every time the opponents will face Argyle, regardless of being at home park or away, it'll be hard, it'll be annoying, it'll be shit to play against us. And actually, I think over the 4 months, that's got better and better, that little statement. And we are probably pretty shit to play against now, in fairness.
I thought, Gavin, you were going to do it in your Mueslich accent.
We will do this. So for about 6 weeks after we joined, I was walking around the house saying also and goosebumps. And my wife was threatening to divorce me, so I had to stop. Aggressive, intense, brave. These will be our core principles every day, day in, day out. These aren't ingredients to win a beauty contest. And I think there'll be a few people early doors saying it was probably more like the Ugly Go contest at Butlins in 1960. But
you remember that one fondly, Gav?
Yeah, he won it.
Not that you were born there.
I was compare, boys. Don't worry. In my previous life, and it wasn't a beauty contest. And there's been a lot of hump balls, isn't there, early doors, as they've just been told to get the ball away from our penalty box because they can't score it and it's in theirs. But that's obviously got a lot better, and we did that on our live lounge to me about their playing style, which is good.
I just want to ask the panel, Gav, at this point. Carl, obviously, when he joined the Miron, the unknown, we were all thinking, oh, what have they done again? This is such a gamble. Has the sort of bitter aftertaste of the Shuey departure, sort of Pitt, Hallett, and Andy Parkinson off, but that speech, it was incredible, but the talking's on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously the first few games under him weren't brilliant. Obviously, it wasn't always going to click straight away. We didn't kind of have that new manager bounce like most clubs seem to have. Things were progressively getting better, but game by game, it seemed very stagnant. And obviously, he was struggling to find out his best 11, and we still had some injuries at that time as well. So it wasn't a smooth ride the first few weeks, and then obviously gradually as the season progressed and the weeks flew by, we got players back. We started to look really strong. You could see the ideas that he wanted to, bring into the club. The players were fighting. Obviously, Powson coming in and being a change player, being a warrior like he described, and
I think the fundamental changes were bringing Maxi and Katic on the same day. That was a big boost, wasn't it? Their professionalism. I remember him saying in a press conference, saying, these boys are in at 8:30 in the Rooney time. People would rock in about 9:30 and have a coffee, and we go and train at 10 o'clock. They're setting the standard now. They're first in, last out, and you can see that they're both pros. And Saturday we saw Katic, and we walk onto the pitch at 2 hours before kick-off and do his usual look around the ground and all that type of stuff. They're obviously consummate professionals, which is great, and they obviously wanted to do best for the club, and they were putting their bodies on the line where we were sort of like margarine that had been out the fridge on a hot day for 2 hours. I think it had now been in the freezer for a couple of months, and it was pretty solid.
Yeah, well, just to point out on this slide for those that are watching, the image on the right isn't who's going to replace Miron Muslic or the players that are going to replace the current ones in the squad. It is an AI generated image that we've just left in there for context. Just to clarify before any rumours. So the turnaround attempt, then, Gavin.
So I think we've all seen it. I've spent hours looking at what he did at Cercle Bruges. I must admit, what he did at Cercle Bruges and what we were seeing in his first 6 to 8 weeks, there was a bit of a difference there, a massive difference there, which was a bit like, but actually, I think he's played it pretty well. It's not come in enough time, but he's, unlike Rooney, he's worked out what chess pieces are on the table, and he's put a strategy out to get the best out of those players rather than saying, this is my playing style. You'll all put square pegs in round holes and we'll all see how well we can get on. So he was pragmatic to start with. It was very much get rid of the bloody thing if it was in your box. And now, as you've seen with the front three that we have and Randall doing very well in midfield, and whether it's been JB or Boateng or Houghton alongside him, we've transitioned really quickly in midfield. The front three are electric going forward. And it's a much different style now. But in the early days, he said about simplicity. He said about it's a very simple game plan. And I imagine, I know there was a few grumbles early doors from the midfield saying, all I'm seeing is the ball ping over my head to the opposition half. How the hell are we going to play out of it? But he's done what I think most good coaches do, which is say we're going to start by setting our stall out, not try and concede any goals at all. If you get a nil, then you've got a draw. If you get a goal, then you win. And then he's moved the transition to the midfield and then up front, and then he's got more of a complete game. But the thing I think that changed overnight, which probably all the boys on the pod will agree, because we've been saying it for weeks and months, is the absolute fight and determination of every player on the pitch. Throwing bodies in the way, putting your head where it hurts. I think Katic in his second or third game lost a tooth.
Liverpool game,
Liverpool game, it was right.
Care of Adam Randall,
So lost a tooth, didn't even can think about picking it up until the night, after the game. Where's that gone? And one of the ground staff found it for him. That's the kind of commitment that we had. Whereas before, as we've all said, it was Sandcastle at high tide, and you go one down, and there's no fight, and there's no determination. So I think that was a bit of pride back in the shirt, which I think was all we were after, because I think everyone thought we were down before Miron was appointed. And we got that in spades from a team that before I think were pretty toothless, and even their own personal pride at times. Look at those results that we've had previously on the slides: 4-0, 6-1, 5-0. There was just no fight at all in the team, was there? It was completely toothless. But tide turned, and then we got some good moments of hope. Didn't we? 2-2 draw away at Sunderland, which I thought was a really good result. Could have won that. 2-1 win at West Brom, and then the pièce de résistance, I think, was the game after Liverpool, which is a 5-1 home win with Millwall, which I thought was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we come into the numbers for Miron, as you can see on the screen there, Nick is going to leave us in a couple of minutes. So I wanted to just get some final thoughts from Nick. So Nick organises and runs the PAFC display. So all the flags, the great big giant ones from the kids and everybody waving them on the touch lines to the Guard of Honour, is all done by Nick and his team. So Nick, just give your final thoughts on the season, what you're looking forward to, and more importantly, as I just dropped to this slide for this moment, what you are looking or getting up to over the postseason, ready for our time in League One. Oh, you're on mute, Nick, I think.
On mute.
Try that then, shall I?
There we go.
My final thoughts on the season. I mean, the relegation itself, I think, was probably avoidable. It was doomed from day one. As soon as we got the Rooney appointment, we knew there was going to be a hard time.
Big risk,
and it was a risk, and it proved to be that at the end of the day. It's annoying, but it is what it is. You finish where you finish, and you deserve to finish where you deserve to finish. And unfortunately, this season we haven't quite made that grade. From a displays point of view, I think we've had a good season. We've had a positive season. We've introduced
excellent season.
We've introduced a couple of new banners, one of which was our Remembrance Day banner, which we can use again and again now. So that's something we've got for the future, which is a really quality flag, a real brilliant design done by our designer James Kerno. He's available on Twitter and as Mayflower D7. Very good designer, and he's an Argyle fan as well. And I can only thank him enough for all of his designs, because all the players' ones that we've got as well are all designed by him. We've also had obviously the Miron banner, which Carl's got in his background there,
Yeah.
which is one of our
Carl,
favourites.
duck that bold head out of the way.
We've had that one out a couple of times now, which is one of my favourites. But it was
You
just
can come
taken
back.
from Miron's statement that he always puts out, the game we love. So
Yeah.
we took that and ran with it, and just created something slightly different to what we've done in the past. But yeah, so a little bit of a break for us now going into pre-season for next year. We'll get together, myself and the team, and we'll come up with some ideas. All of us have got some slightly different ideas which we want to bring to the table. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer putting some stuff together. But like I said, we're always looking for people to join the group as well. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to get involved more, and is seeing us around, and think, oh, I fancy a bit of that, come and give us a shout. Like I say, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. All you got to do is drop us a message, and if we're at games, we'll have the gazebo outside the Devonport end.
Yeah,
and
that looked awesome, Nick. And you seeing that, and you've also had some great success with the bucket hats recently as well.
not just a bucket hat, it's everything. To be honest with you, I mean, a perfect example. That's going to be massive for us going forward. I mean, before where we'd only sell stuff online.
Yeah.
Now we've got the shop outside the Devonport end, which we're calling it. We're making £600-700 a game, and every penny of that goes back into more flags. We never had that before. I mean,
Yeah.
after speaking with Christian Kent at the club and a couple of other people at the club, they agreed to let us do it, and it's been absolutely massive for us. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to produce half of what we've produced this season if we never had that. And it's also allowed us to have a surplus going into next season. So we've got a pocket of money there now, which we can use straight off the bat for next season. So we've got a few ideas, probably slightly different, something slightly bigger to what we've done in the past with the banners, for example. So yeah, watch this space, and I'm sure we'll have something for the first home game back in League One.
I think we all
Excellent.
need a
No, look,
crazy
Nick. I
pilgrim
mean, I
flag,
think
don't we, Nick?
Sorry?
speak for every Argyle fan. It's a great spectacle to see it. Enjoy that every home game. The incredible effort by you and the team. And look, we'll get you back on here in the new season as well. We are going to be planning, like yourselves, lots of content ideas. My mind is going 100 miles an hour the past few weeks with probably too many for the guys to keep up, but we've got some good stuff going. And when you're ready as well for pre-season, if you want to come on and share any of what you're doing, let's do that.
Amazing.
Argyle's all about supporting the community, and we'll absolutely do the same. So, but yeah, round of applause for the team, Nick and the team, for all of that. So, Nick, if you want to shoot off, by all means, but pleasure in having you on. We'll jump back
Cheers, Nick.
to
Cheers for having
the
us.
presentation.
Cheers, gents.
Cheers, mate.
Go and get some rest, mate.
Cheers. Thanks.
He's got a little bit of a bug for those that didn't join us from the start. So, and just as that note, before we pick up the presentation again, evening everybody, thank you for joining us tonight wherever you are watching on X, YouTube, Facebook, etc. We appreciate you coming into this. Is our final show, so we are the Block 9 podcast. We started this journey off ourselves sort of towards the end of last season. We started talking about it, and we thought, why don't we give it a go ourselves? And I'm sort of a bit blown away with where we've got to, those people that have joined us, that supported us along the way. So tonight we are going through our season recap. So we're just touching upon as we come into the changeover to Miron from Rooney. We've also got our Block 9 player awards to go to after this too. So a bit more content to bring you. So stick with us. It is not death by PowerPoint, or hopefully not. So Gavin, fire away.
I'm now nervous about these stats, so I'm up all right. Hogan Pete, can you please mark my homework? As I've done this the old-fashioned way with a bit of pen and paper, so I might have missed a few. I hope that Miron had a few games, 1-8, drew 5,
He won 7, drawn 5, lost 9. I just looked on FOTMob.
Oh, is it 9? Is it? Okay, so thanks for my adding up, and my arithmetic is crap. So apologies for that. Goal difference -10. I think that is correct. And shored us up, didn't it? Really, quite frankly. So we were, I think, a much better side. The only frustration I think I have is that Derby we stuck. We twisted. We probably should have stuck. And there were a couple of games I think where we've drawn, and Luton being a standout one.
Voodoo's just commented saying, wasn't it a -11 goal difference? Exclamation.
10.576 recurring, Voodoo. But there we are. It is what it is. You get the gist. Maths is not my strong point. Certainly adding up tally charts. Give me a P&L. I don't mind using.
I'll move on from that slide.
Yeah. So look, we finished second from bottom. It was a bit up and down, wasn't it? The old league position. That's where we are. We finished 3 points adrift and plenty of goals. We know that. I think was it 13 or 15 in the end. We flirted early doors, didn't we, with mid-table, and I thought everyone thought, oh, here we go, Rooney's in, and we'll do well here. And we had another little sort of blast, didn't we, in October. And then after that second international break, it fell off a cliff, and we've sort of pounded around the bottom since. But it certainly went up and down like a horse draws, in and out of that relegation zone, and then we kind of flatlined for the last few weeks. You can flick to the next one now, Mike, if you want.
Yeah, just to end on this one. What's interesting is obviously when we lost to Wednesday 4-0 in that first game of the season, which obviously was really telling us how it was going to pan out. Yes, although we lost to Leeds at the end, the differences in the two sides, in those two games are just completely worlds apart. So, yeah, next slide. To reign relegation, the fans, we are still here.
I think this is just a bit of a nod to the Green Army, really. It's utterly ridiculous. And it's laughable. And I think if you don't support football and you speak about this to anyone who doesn't understand what we all do and what we go through, they're like, you're down and you're still, taking whatever it was, 2,000 people to Preston from Plymouth, to hopefully think that we might have a game and then we relegate beforehand. We nearly filled the place yesterday. I think there was maybe 50, 80 seats, something like that, empty. And we lifted the roof off in the first 20 minutes. Everyone, Miron said it 1,000 times, isn't he? And I know Nance's as well. And a lot of the players have come out on Instagram and Twitter to the last couple of days to say thank you. But we're just nuts, aren't we? I mean, what kind of club celebrates? Normally, if you're Sheffield Wednesday, if you're Cardiff, if you're Luton, it's pitchforks at dawn, isn't it? If you're the chairman of the club, you want to emigrate to another country. The staff run in and run out of games trying to get away from the team, and there we are having selfies and saying thank you. So, we kept singing throughout. What just astounds me is the away support every game. The running joke was how many we're going to get beat by today every time you go away. You're still spending thousands of quid on travel, tickets, beers, pies, hotels if you're staying away, all that type of stuff. So it was mental, but we kept on, as Argyle always does, I suppose. But I actually think that when you see a bit of fight in the players, you don't mind going away even if you are going to lose. And I think that's what spurred a lot of people on to keep travelling in the numbers that they did, hoping for that miracle. And then, of course, was it Tuesday or Wednesday night, the miracle happened and we broke our duck at Portsmouth, of all places, Fratton Park, where there's been battles over the years. So that was just a little nod to that. And the next one.
Yeah, so just to end it is a brilliant shout. We got Herbie, who's joined us, is out playing football himself tonight actually, but he's gone to a lot of the away games. Harvey England, who has a brilliant YouTube vlog himself, he's been on here a couple of times, obviously to every away game. It's just the commitment in costs and all that, and time is huge. So a massive shout out to everybody there. So the FA Cup run.
Yeah. So season obviously finished in a bit of a bad way, but the one highlight, although it probably did us a bit of harm if you look back at the results on the side, although maybe apart from the Liverpool game, we moved on. The magic moments. So the 1-0 win at Brentford, obviously being the first away win of the season. I think there were a lot of people there. I know one was taken to hospital. I don't know if it was because of the shock of the result or they fell ill, but if we could have had a couple of thousand defibrillators in that corner of the Brentford stand, I think we probably could have used them. Good goal by some guy who has gone somewhere. I don't know, he disappeared. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, no, lost me.
Went up north, but good goal. Though I do love watching that goal back to see. I don't know which midfielder it was. Literally usher him into his perfect scoring position as a defender. I thought that was brilliant. Good win there, which brought us obviously some noisy red team from Scousland came down. Although the fans weren't noisy, they were like a library. Who insisted that they would roll us over because they were the champions-elect of the Premier League, and we pissed all over their chips, being quite candid. Great home game, probably the highlight of everyone's season. I would say that those that were in the ground and those who were watching probably on TV or on the Barbican, great day to beat Liverpool, and then the exodus back to the northwest to Manchester, where there's about 8,000 of us. Scoring first there is probably the highlight of my season, actually.
Oh yeah.
It's
people go nuts for a maxi header was probably made my season all round.
We all know Mike's highlight of the Man City game away, don't we?
We'll come on to that later, Carl.
Yeah. Calm down. Don't get him all excited. He's in his deep as well, please, for God's sake. And I think just touching on this a little bit, this gave us a bit of pride back because we've been kicked to buggery, haven't we, all year? Let's be candid. We were the whipping boys of the league. There was a lot of Amarins knocking around. Miron's doing his best to get a team that's a bit more structured and a bit more competitive on the field. And then we go and beat two Premier League sides and give probably the most successful Premier League team over the last 7 or 8 years the fright of their life, being 1-0 down up until the 46th minute. So big credit to the team, big credit to the coaching team. Massive payday, I think, for the Green Army to be able to mix and match with those. And I think the Argyle analyst put a stat out earlier today that of those teams played the top 10 or whatever it was in the Premier League, we were 16th of all football this year, which is an outstanding stat to be able to beat Brentford, who I think had the best home record in Europe at that time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they unbeaten at home as well, was it?
Yeah, I think they were. And then Liverpool came down here with a sprinkling of megastars and some on the bench. And then if you look at that completing team, we barely gave them a kick, did we? Let's be candid.
No.
Around our goal. So that was just, I think, one.
So we'll just on the FA Cup run, Steve, just to bring you in. So it's one of those where last season, we've talked about it, said it myself, it had a massive impact, I think, on the Leeds replay, etc., and that extra time, on our fight for survival, and we managed to do it thanks to Edwards at the end of the season. Following, obviously, Man City, Steve, was the whole game, massive game. And it took its toll, didn't it? The cup run.
100%. It's the timing of the games as well.
Yeah, a lot of back-to-back games, weren't there?
Yes, from the minute that Miron came in, I think he had about 2 weeks on the grass right through to the international break. So he had no time to actually coach the players on the grass.
No, he came into a vicious cycle of matches back to back as a result of the FA Cup run. Hull had a lovely restful week before
they had 10 days
us.
off, didn't they?
Yeah, and am I not, just correct me if I'm wrong on this, trying to think back, was it Derby that followed the whole game, then the international break?
Yeah,
no,
it was the last game, I think.
We had Blackburn as well, didn't we? No, we had no. No, that was.
That's all right. That's all right. It's I think the point being is after that international break, where I'm coming to, although that Derby game ultimately was the crucial one. You might be right, Steve, with the Blackburn one in it, but that Derby one was crucial, which we couldn't muster at home,
we
even after
Portsmouth away. Then it was Derby
free
at
kick.
home.
Say again, Carl.
Derby after Portsmouth away.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't. I was wondering about it.
And we had no Randall for those 3 games, did we?
It just, look, it just is. It was what it was. The FA Cup. It was an experience and a half to be there, as I'm sure everybody can attest. That went, to get that goal, just to score it at the Manchester Library as we pit there, because it was silent. But it's one of those things. Yeah, when it happens, you love it, but the impact it's had, safe to say that it didn't help. It didn't help. So
it has a knock-on effect.
Yeah, exactly. So, Gavin, so the support staff and director of
Yeah,
football.
I think there just need to be a bit of a slide about the off-field antics. I know it's been amplified, if that's the right word, in the last week around Miron coming out and saying he's been on his jack with his cymbals between his knees, mouth organ, guitar, being a bit of a one-man band since he's been here. I don't think that's entirely true. I think the club come out. There's definitely been a consultant knocking around in the recruitment space, helping transition.
As alluded to in Andy Parkinson's statement.
Yeah, but again, I suppose you if you're new to a job, you want stable support around you, which is sort of concrete and helping you bed forward. I think that's probably the point he was making. But didn't help. Our director of football was relieved of duties sometime early January. I don't think it was announced until mid-Feb, which again is a little bit. It was the elephant in the room of every press conference. Whereas Neil Dewsnip, I know he used to announce the team in hospitality every week, and one there again, and oh, hello Jimmy, nice to see you. You're up, are you? That's lovely. So that he was probably on garden leave for 6 to 8 weeks before anyone announced it, which is a little bit, I think, naughty. We still haven't replaced him as we speak today, and it's whatever it is of May, 4th, 5th of May. That's a bit of a frustration. I know these things take time, blah blah blah, but it goes back to the whole boardroom structure thing, which we discussed on the live lounge. I think if there are more football people, and I'm not talking about someone whose great grandfather once kicked the ball at Wembley, at half time in the raffle or whatever, but real football people that have got real contacts in the game and can put feelers out and all that good stuff at board level. Trevor East being, I think, the biggest advocate of the club, and obviously his time as deputy MD of football at Sky Sports was a big connection for us for on and off the field stuff. Having not had that football man in the board room anymore has been, I think, a big weakness. Although the board have come out and defended themselves on that basis. Great business people around the boardroom. There's no problem there. Great football people. No, I don't think there is. And I think if you ask them honestly, they'd probably agree. And it's just the recruitment team's been in and out. I know Jimmy's, who's done, I think, a great job in difficult circumstances on gardening leave.
Still not officially announced either, although Schumacher, I believe, touched upon it. He's going to Bolton.
And again, it's like, why? What I don't understand why we don't just come out and say this is what's happening. It all feels a little bit cloak and dagger, or the communication isn't great. But Jimmy's on his way, probably to Bolton. Ross Goodwin, data, is off to I think it's Dundee as head of recruitment, which is another great move for him. No problem there. But and Abba's moved to Man United. Great, brilliant moves for them. Not going to stand in the way, but communicate it, and then it's like, well, they've gone, but this is the plan. And I don't think the communication or the reactiveness of those communications has been strong enough. And I think that's where some of the Twitterati, I use that right word advisedly, have started to get a little bit teasy with the ball around communication, which has been dire. Let's be candid.
Yeah, I think and I did have it. You've done that bit for me, which is nicely. I had some notables to sort of end with, which were to Jimmy Dickinson, as well as Ross Goodwin and Abner. So we wish them all well. I think, with what Jimmy's done, even though Miron himself has called a few people out in his press conferences, and recruitment being one, I think with what he's done over the last few years, 2019, I think he came in, has been exceptional. And do you know what? Good luck to him in the future, as well as Ross and Abner. Wish him well. Big club as well, going to Man United. Seen his Instagram shots of his new apartment and stuff. Manchester's an amazing city. So wish him all the best and those guys in their futures. Let's see what happens and comes in. Will Miron really not want to embrace data? Well, what could the new sporting director dictate is done. So fans' frustrations and Gavin, investment, sporting director communication. You mentioned it again just then with those departures. So fire away.
I think it's just there to put a nod towards free chat, Passati, Twitter. Thanks, we do coming soon. Yeah, I know, imminently, in due course. Every thesaurus word came out, I think, on that press release. I've been rightly informed that the sporting director actually has signed a contract and will be announced imminently. So that's good news. And I've also been advised that we'd be surprised on who it is with the calibre, which is also good. I don't know if that's good calibre or bad calibre, but we'll find out when they're announced. But I think, on a serious note, there has been fan frustrations, and I know looking at Chris Harrington's post tonight around they've lost the fan base. I don't think the club has lost the fan base. If it had, there'd have been quite a sour note, I think, pre or post the Leeds game. I think it's lost some of the fan base on Twitter. And there are some negative ninnies on Twitter that, no matter what happens, we're not going to mention names, no matter what happens, it's a shit show. You can sell up and, you're not fit to run the club and give it away for £1, even though you spent tens of millions of pounds and all that good stuff that goes with it. Lovely, you do you. I recommend crochet or knitting.
Well, let's address that. The big elephant in the room or on that slide is the investment, isn't it? So, that Simon noted, sort of felt like he was a bit reluctant to, but then felt he needed to try and give some sort of glimmer of hope. But yes, the big investment, the billion, he used the word B, investment. Now, if you look at Parkinson's, post lead statement, if we've got a really strong sporting director, a few other things going on, then it could well be that this investment is incoming. I know there's still a lot of skeptics out there, fully understand and appreciate that, and what impact, even though he said it wouldn't, has going down. When he said at the time as well, when we go down into League One, obviously corrected himself, but we are where we are there now. So look, I'm hopeful that comes off. I'm hopeful the sporting director is a strong one too.
I know we did this to death at the live lounge a few weeks back, but the simple fact of the matter is the capital value, so the price per share, if you're going to be really candid about it, will be different if you're in the Championship than you are for League One. Revenues is normally about 1 times revenue, right? In a football club, that's the way it seems to look, certainly at this level anyway. So just to be candid, we'll do just over 30 million of rev this year, I think, as a club. And that's because of the additional, I think we budget just under 30, but we'll just do just over 30, I think, with the FA Cup run. Great. That's all cool. If we drop down a league, it's going to be around about 20. So if you're buying 30-40% of the club, then you're going to wait for that discount, aren't you? I mean, I would. So that's the only thing I would say is that, with this timing of the investment, now we know where we are. I imagine, from what we say, that the SPA is done and signed. They're just waiting on the final amendment, I think, which was actually the price per share. That should now get it going. If it is real, and it is, and from all the chats I've had with people connect to the club, it is real. That should come. But the club needs a bloody good month now of PR, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It needs a sporting director signed and announced. It needs an investor announced, and we need to hang on to 1 or 2 of these players that have either been had a contract waived under their nose so far and they don't like the smell of it, or been not waived a contract to extend so far, and we need to give it to them that they are infused enough to sign another 2 or 3 year deal. So you get those 3 things in say between now and the first week of June, the whole fan base lifts. Miran comes back from holiday, and all of a sudden it's a different place again, and everyone's infused and happy and positive about who we're going to sign for League One. So, or it goes the other way and it completely implodes.
Let's hope not, because at the end of the day, I think none of us want that. And just before we go on to this next slide, I think the one thing to remember, and give the board credit for, and certainly Simon for instilling that vision, is to put the club in a good place. Not everybody's cup of tea, this word, nor Marcus's, who's in the chat with us tonight, infrastructure, but it's all about a solid foundation to cope with situations like this. And, at the end of the day, we could have worse owners. There are some out there, as we know. So,
yeah.
Go on.
We could be Sheffield Wednesday fans. Wow, whatever their thing is. And Chancery doesn't fancy paying the wages this month or week. So,
exactly.
It is. But, this side, for those who are listening, from ruins to rebuild, the rebuild begins. I wouldn't say it's ruins at the minute. I think if Miran doesn't come back from his Holly Bobs, it might be ruins, but I don't think that's the case. There's a lot of people out there that are out of contract or in their last year of their contract who are like the spine of the team, and we did that on the live lounge on Thursday. Hazard got a year left on his contract. Randall's got a year left on his contract. Hardy's got a year left on his contract. Bundu's out of contract, and I think we'd all accept now that Bundu's off to Bundesliga or wherever he's going to lay his new hat. Fair play to him. little bit frustrating that he's become this world beater in the last 3 months of his contract with us, having been here 2 years. But that it is what it is. That's football, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get that. We're okay. I think we need to bolster the squad, get rid of some of the guys who are probably at League One standard, ironically. But we need to be, I think, aiming for players now that are mid-table Championship standard players to bring us back up, which would be useful. And then if you go back one step, Mike, sorry, you've gone too far.
Sorry.
Yeah. No wonder your wife complains you're premature. The manager decision, obviously, Miron staying, and then we need to build this off season. You know, I think Chris Harrington said it in his piece earlier. It's probably the most important off season for a long, long time. It's make or break. If we do a something close to a Wrexham or a Birmingham who come down and straight back up, I think the fans will forgive the board and all the misforgivings of this year. If we languish, bottom to mid-table next season, then there's going to be hell on, I think, and the attendances will drop. So a good opportunity. I think everyone around the club's optimistic. We've got a bloody good core of a side, actually. I think that we'll compete in League One already, with the way that we've been set up. But we've got to make sure that we're capitalising. And I think some of Miron's frustrations was, oh, we got plenty of time for this, but actually, no, we haven't. We need the pillars in play now because all the other clubs are out looking for players from today, aren't they, or tomorrow? So Angola finishes. So that was that. And we go again, as I said. So we've been here before. We've had relegations. I think all of us are old enough to have enough multiple relegations on our CV as fans. We've also faced far worse than this, with nearly going out of business and everything else that went with that, which is a bit of a shudder down the spine. I think the fans will still pack out next year. There's 4,000, 5,000 people waiting for a season ticket for one to drop off the perch.
Yeah, it might give some opportunities for some.
Yeah, it might do. Some people might be throwing in their towel, especially if you read Twitter or X, and you'll think that there'll be a handful that will. And we'll be around next season to pick up the pieces and move on.
I just want to, and thank you, Gav, for putting that together. Apologies for some of the stat mistakes. It's taken a few hours for Gavin to do this. It's taken me almost half a day to put this show together tonight. And we do it for the love. Even though it can be testing on families at times, because you commit a lot to this. You love the club. We love to talk about it, and always from day one, I wanted to make sure we bring a point of difference with the shows that we do. I'm just going to close out this one with Sarah's comment here. On the point of losing the fans or not. I don't think the club have lost the fan base. I back the boys, however, I do think changes are needed on the board. And let me just move that. And the cracks are getting bigger. For me, the fans are the club. We are the little club that can, as has been proved multiple times. And look, exactly that. I think it's a great comment to end that first part of the show, the season recap. And look, it's a shame to come out of the Championship, Carl, isn't it? Because it's just an amazing league. It's such an exciting league, even with the amount of downs that we've had. It's the teams that you get to see that come down, the quality, and when little old Argyle are competing with the budget that they do and beating a good chunk of those teams in the top half. It's just a fantastic league.
Yeah, we're gonna miss it. Hopefully not for too long. If we can bounce straight back, that would be fantastic. But just every home game, when you look at the away end and you see decent away followings, that's going to be dramatically different next season. Lots of northern teams bringing down 80 to 100 people. The atmosphere is going to be a bit pants, but I suppose it is what it is. It's just a draw of some of the clubs. Some of the clubs you play in, it's a world apart from what we're going to be competing against next season. But we'll go down, we'll build stronger, hopefully, and come back and hold our own again for a few years if we're able. But I think this summer's the biggest summer we've had in a long time. If we can keep Miron and back him, then I've got every faith we can get back up again to the Championship and try and enjoy our stint a little bit longer.
Yeah, Steve, to you. I think it's about just looking forward. What you can't control, try not to let it stress yourself out. I'm sure Andy, if he was on tonight, would advise that we go in to this sort of break. Let's get this director of football announced next week, and whatever other changes, including that investment if it's coming. Let's hope that gets done, and we can look forward to it.
I think the structure is so important. It's key to us going forward. It's going to be a season of transition, I think, though, as well. Some players will go, some players will stay. In that, obviously, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we should be we should have a top 6 budget, like they say. But it all depends on the investment as well.
Yeah, no, it is. And I do like, as we end this segment, Carl's comment, he put himself in the chat about the director of football role. It's not going to be the Birmingham tea lady, is it? So
What was her name again?
I can't remember. I wouldn't get the job then, would I? So right then. Right, we've come to our final part of the show tonight. So it's our Block 9 player awards from the 24 championship season. So, boy, this one was not easy. We go through a few awards, obviously, ending with the player of the season as voted for by us in the pod, and also the little poll that we put out last week, also using that as well. So anyway, right. So let me just get my cuffs ready, my bow tie proper straight for this awards as we go into it now. So take a breather, but everybody, thank you for coming in again tonight, and hopefully you'll agree. But put your comments in as we go through these awards. So starting off with the most improved player. And this one was, a difficult one because there was a lot of options on here, to be fair. And I won't give it away by reading some of those or putting some of those names out there. But like I said, all these awards, a lot of candidates for most of them that could have and certainly contested for it. So most improved player recognises the player who's shown the greatest development in their skills, of course, impact or consistency, compared to the previous season. So it's going to give it away, I suppose, but stepping into big shoes after Michael Cooper left. For me, this keeper already had his critics. Struggling with Rooney's style of playing from the back, he then suffered a serious knee injury against Stoke at the end of August that kept him out for a few months. Since returning against Swansea City on December the 10th, he came back and back in style. A brilliant shot stopper. Better ball distribution as well, especially under Music with playing that ball up. And yes, he does still have those minor niggles like commanding his box. But for me, in recent games, he started to improve that. So it may surprise you, but he also has the FOTMOB top rating for the squad this season. And of course, we are talking about Connor Hazard. So Connor Hazard, our most improved player of the season. I've always been a fan of Connor Hazard, but when you have got the sort of Michael Coopers in front of you, it's difficult. And then when you don't get the games, I mean, look at Grimshaw, Carl, he's come out and not had a good tenure since he's joined us. And then, Hazard's come straight in. And as Miron said himself, a couple of weeks in, he's my number one.
He just didn't suit Rooney's gameplay, did he? From playing out from the back, obviously that's Connor's probably weakest point is playing out from the back and his passing out. But I think even that's improved of late. I know we don't pass out as much as we did under Rooney, but I think generally his overall game's improved massively. His shot stopping is incredible, and he's really took his chance since coming back from injury. And I think he's up there with. I wouldn't say an established championship goalkeeper yet, but he can hold his own in that league. And I think going down into League One, I think he'd be one of the league's top keepers. If we can keep him, because again, he might have offers from championship clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just 2 clean sheets, conceded 39, had a penalty which he didn't save, 25 matches, 2,250 minutes played, 4 yellow cards, a lot for a goalkeeper, but a FOTMOB rating that tops it for the Argyle squad of 7.21. Gavin, give us your thoughts on Hazard.
On stats, he's top quartile in the league of goalkeepers The only thing that lets him down is coming for crosses on that data. I think he just really cemented himself in, and he's become. I think if you look at the back three when he's in, they're far more comfortable now. He's a linchpin and the beginning of the spine of that side. He's got 1 year left in his contract. By God, we got to bloody nail him down for another 2 years because I think he's class, and I think he's going to get better and better. I suppose a bit of a touch to Flahavin, the goalkeeping coach, because he's obviously worked hard on him with his distribution.
Yeah.
So a doff of the cap to that general direction of the goalkeeping coaching team, because they've clearly done a really good job with him, because he had 2 left feet when he first came to the club, and I think he's now dinking the ball out wide and finding feet and chest, whereas before, as my brother used to say, is it going to be another line out because the ball's at Hazard's feet? I'll get the rugby chat in early, or late doors for Matt. But look, he deserves that accolade, I think, and next year I think he'll kick on again and be a formidable keeper in League One.
Yeah, I think it's it's a big one when, as a defensive line, your keepers are playing confidently, pulling off some amazing shot stopping, and equally as a keeper when your defensive line is also doing superb, as it has done with Plaguey, Katic, and Maxi and Poulsen, etc. So I think, for Grimshaw, it wasn't the best timing to come in with Hazard's injury. The squad within a bit of disarray, injuries, not happening for Rooney. But yeah, definitely want to see him next season, Hazard, and hopefully we can get, maybe an extension to his contract. So the next award we come to is the Young Player of the Season. Not a difficult one. Also won the Young Player of the Season and the Argyle vote as well. Of course, giving it away is Darko JB, but joining us on loan at 19 as a £4 million signing for Leeds United. England under 21, this player has now spent a couple of seasons with the Pilgrims on loan. Second behind fellow midfielder Adam Randall this season for minutes played. He's done 2,853 in the Championship, so featuring regularly for Rooney and Muslich. A big debate on the future, and his future, I should say, with Argyle. Not everybody's cup of tea. We've discussed on a previous show that we feel he's probably worth the investment, but it certainly has mixed reactions. But yes, the Young Player of the Year for us from the Block 9 is, of course, also Darko JB. A lot of youngsters, Steve, haven't really featured. We've seen Caleb Roberts come in at the end and has had a couple of spells before then. Freddie Azaka has come off the bench, started a couple of games too, not been the greatest. Something that hopefully with Folston Park and the development there, we can start bringing some good youngsters on. And of course, Tegan Finn, nothing. Absolutely nothing mentioned of Tegan Finn for about 4 to 6 weeks. Steve, do you want to give your thoughts on Darko JB?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. He is he's quite an improved player, and obviously he's come on leaps and bounds from last year under Foster in that, and obviously, but I still think he's best in a forward attacking role.
Yeah, he likes to get forward, doesn't he? And when he was given those opportunities recently, and yes, in a game where we had the the ascendancy, he's certainly proven himself that once he breaks out of that defensive midfield, he can really shine.
Definitely, and he's linking up with our attacking midfielders and our strikers as well, and he's getting involved as well.
Yeah, no, look. Like I said, he's not everybody's cup of tea, Gav, is he? But there is, you and I, we've discussed it on here. Agree that there is potential there. If there's an option. I mean, will Leeds want him going into the Prem?
I'm a big fan. I've made that known over the last few weeks. I've got some doubters for it on Twitter. It's fine. It's a game of opinions. He's got a massive ceiling ahead of him. I think if we can buy him for around about £1 million, that'll be a big price tag for a League One player. But he's got masses of potential. The last 3-4 games, he seems to have clicked under Miron's system. Devastated he couldn't play against Leeds. I thought they would have let him play, considering where we were, but they didn't. I suppose that's written into a contract pre him arriving in the front door, so it is what it is. I don't think Leeds are going to need him in the Premier League, are they? Let's be candid. So he's going to either go out and loan again. I think he's got 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, Steve just put in our chat. Yeah, 1 year left.
So 1 year, at least I've got that stat right. He's got 1 year left. I'd be putting in a cheeky bid. Now, I know they got him on a swap for £5 million in value. He ain't worth that. But he's got a big ceiling. He seems happy in the Southwest and in Plymouth in particular. He seems to do everything he can for Miron. So I would be taking him forward. And I think the Young Player of the Year is well deserved.
Yeah, I think just before we move on to the next award, Carl just pitting into the comments too. Does anyone know if any player has won the league and got relegated on the same day? A bit of a weird experience, that one. Donna, I've seen your comment. I will come back to some comments that come in about these players giving these awards. So, best new signing. I think this one certainly has impressed a lot. So, as noted earlier, the arrival of this player has given Argyle one of the most formidable defensive partnerships since the likes of, for me, I picked Christian Timar and Marcel Sight last time we were in the Championship. I thought they were formidable themselves. Hitting the ground running with strong performances. It was also his overzealous tackle celebrations that also won over the fans. Suffering a knee injury and not expected back for the rest of the season, Maxi pushed hard to get back to try and help secure Argyle's Championship future. With Katic and Pleggy, he formed a formidable defensive back three for Argyle while also bringing the height along with Katic that has been long overdue. So, yeah, Maxim Talavirov wins our Best New Signing Award. I think the timing with him coming in with Katic, it was just perfect, absolutely perfect, Carl, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously we were a bit dubious whether he was going to sign, because obviously we were trying to sign that Dutch centre back, weren't we? And that didn't look like it was going to happen. Then that was called off, and then there was rumours about him not going to sign because he didn't know whether he was going to stay up or not. I'm so glad he decided to come, and Miron persuaded him to come into the club, because he's been a breath of fresh air. Again, his ceiling's a lot higher than League One. If he stays with us next season, he's proven himself to be really, really good. Strong in the tackle, his height's really good in the air. He links play quite well from the back. Top signing. To get him for 1.7 is a bargain.
Yeah, I think again, whoever pulled him out of the hat with the recruitment, top job, and love him to stay on. Let's hope this, for the player, if he deserves that sort of championship, we'd love to keep him on. That's for sure. So, Maxim Talavirov, our best new signing, and just those celebrations as well, Gav. Even for the slightest little tackle, oh yes.
Look, he's 24 years old, right? I think we've got him until he's 27. As a centre half, you're just beginning to probably mature at 27. If he stays that course and he carries on playing and improves on the trajectory, I think he will. We'll get double figures for the guy to a Premier League side. I think maybe before he runs his contract out, it might be. But love his attitude. Obviously, he's got a shit ton of crap going on at home, and with his family and
his dad involved in the war,
Ukraine and stuff like that. So to come out and play with a smile on his face and the crowd up, be good on the ball, strong in the air and strong in the tackle, I think he's been one of the signings of probably the last few years, in fairness, and come in at a time where the club was on its knees, or the team was on its knees, and him and Katic between them have grabbed this club, probably with Pusac as well, early doors, by the scruff and dragged it up to become where we've been. We weren't good enough in the end, but I think that's more to do with the previous, as we discussed earlier. So over the moon with him, and if he stays, I'll be over the moon too.
Yeah, absolutely. So following best loan player. So I think where this one is going. Let me just scroll to it on my notes. Where has it gone? There we go. So after turning us down, it was only down to Muslic's own personal persistence that eventually had this player agreeing to join Argyle. Starting his loan spell with Maxi Talavirov, a bond started to grow between the two, not just on the pitch, but also off. It was on the pitch, though, that he instantly turned into a fan favourite with a great performance from the off against West Brom, Liverpool and Millwall, even losing a 2 thanks to Adam Randall in the famous FA Cup victory, but at least they found it, as we said earlier. Keeping up the standard, and with a strong partnership with Maxi and Pleggy, he formed a formidable defence. Even with a short sideline due to an injury, he got back as quickly as he could, fighting through the pain to try and help Argyle's survival fight, and it was great to see him come on at the end against Leeds. And if that header had gone in, no, wasn't a foul, we will be sad to see him go, as League One is sadly not for him, but stranger things have then happened. So so obviously our best loan player of the season is Nikolaj Katic. So Carl, I know you touched upon him just now, but yeah, and also like the leadership skills as well that he's brought into the squad. You know, we talk about leaders a lot, and when we miss Edwards on the pitch, you know, we've certainly garnered a few with him, Maxi, even Poulsen certainly, and Pleggy just in that defensive line.
Yeah, and another top Miron signing. I just hope that he can persuade him for League One and Maxi as well, because I know they've got a good friendship. Whether he wants to play at that level or not, I don't know, but I think, you know, why not? Is he going to go back to his parent club and get regular game time? Who knows? But obviously, I think he might have offers probably from higher up in the leagues. But yeah, top player, great experience, and perfect partnership for Maxi. But obviously, we'll have to look for another centre back for next season to partner him. But yeah, he's up there with one of our best ever loan players, hence the award.
Yeah, I think, Steve, I think it's definitely one of those where, you know, a big shout out goes to him, really, because to come to a club that you're a bit like, really, and then obviously, like I said, with Miron's persistence, you know, deciding to come over, believe in the project, believe in what, you know, Miron's was wanting to do in the club, you know, and to really pit everything on the line, including that tooth. It's just outstanding. You know, the professionalism from him is just first class.
He's Miron's man, isn't he? He's a leader. He always puts his stuff on the line, and he was even playing when he was injured. He was still trying to come back early and play, a bit like Pleggy as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So look, so our best loan player for this season goes to Nikolaj Katic, and will we see him again? Who knows? So Iron Man Award. So we sort of said or alluded to at the start of this that trying to sort of give awards out to players, and there's some in here that might surprise you, and some of you may disagree with. Put them in the comments. Let us know for sure. But this award, I thought, actually, this is deserved. So. Second to only Hazard in the overall FOTMOB rating, the Plymouth Perlo, there you go, has been a stalwart in Argyle's midfield this season, racking up 3,385 minutes. Certainly deserves his summer break. Offering reliance and stability in midfield, Randall has some of the most impressive stats overall, befitting of his FOTMOB rating. Whether it's pass assists, accuracy dribbles, tackles, and duels, he's right up there this season for Argyle. With an ill-disciplined, though, game where he got a 3-game suspension against Cardiff at home after the game, or after the final whistle, right at a crucial time. But Adam Randall has given his all for his hometown club, which is befitting of this award. Not forgetting his one memorable goal too. So, Iron Man Award goes to Adam Randall. You know, I know people have criticised him at times this season, and you know, there's a lot of this where, Gavin, you watching the game off the ball, which is not always easy to do because you're in the flow. But you know, he has been reliable. He has had his issues like everybody else has, but you know, he has led through so many games on the pitch for Argyle this season.
Yeah, young captain, always puts in 100%. I think he'll be the first to say he's had some up and down performances for the season. Hasn't everybody? That's why we've gone down. One thing I love about Adam Randall is his bravery to take the ball in difficult type situations. I think that's come on, and you know, going back to his improvement from last year to this year, and that's something I think Rooney did with him, and I know Aaron Cusack did something with him early season, but that improvement, I think, in that first sort of 10, 12 games when we were looking from Grimshaw out to a central midfielder, he was always the one that put his head above the parapet and said, "Give me the ball and I'll get us up the pitch."
Yeah.
Sometimes it come off, sometimes it didn't. The recent pass off the volley away in the game last week was, I thought,
The Hardy goal.
Hardy goal was exceptional. Brett Preston, really, really strong performance there. I think he's had a bit of a challenge because he's had a young kid learning his trade next to him for most of the season in Darko JB. That's been a challenge, and I think, going back to the recruitment piece, if we'd had another strong, your doppelganger type recruit round him that was a bit more fit and a bit more active, who can take the pressure off a bit, I think he'd have had a better season. But he's honest as the day's long. He puts in a shift for the club. He's an Argyle supporter. He hasn't let anyone down. He scored a decent goal. There was a deflection at Derby, which got us a draw up there. He's had some good highlights this season. He puts in everything every week, and when he's captained the side, I think he's done a pretty good job of leading some old seasoned professionals around to make sure that they are doing their job too. So I don't think you can argue with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think obviously we brought it up the other day until it got quashed eventually, but there was a lot of talk about Houghton, obviously, and Randall when they start, not losing a game, and obviously JB and Randall partnership has gone on, as we alluded to, with JB being the young player of the season, the minutes and the shift put in by these two, and I think with everything, if Miron had more time, as we've said, as we saw it in the last few games, there's huge potential there when we play well, when we're winning and leading as well, always makes a difference. But yeah, our Iron Man of the season goes to Adam Randell, so well done to him. 0 to hero. So another one that we're like, right, yeah, there's a certain person that deserves this, and I think I'd like to think that most of you could guess who this is. So
it's not
joining
Neil
Rooney
Jusnick.
and late into his career, let's just say he didn't have the most memorable starts to the campaign. Having missed most of the first half of the season, everyone was left wondering, was he over the hill? And another poor Rooney signing. Oddly, since Rooney's departure, and also since playing in a more favourable central role, this player has come on leaps and bounds. Showing off what he told us. We've not seen the best of him yet. He has now shown that. So he has come... when called upon, he's taken the opportunity, as a few others did, and was a big part of the fight for survival. His leadership on the pitch, and more leaders were needed, was clear right up to the last game against Leeds. He also gave his all to the cause. Our 0 to Hero award obviously goes to Victor Poulsen. It was a funny one, this, because, it didn't come with a lot of sort of faith from the fan base when signing him, a bit unsure. Did Rooney bring him in just to bring some experience, Gavin? But, he was tipped. You wanted him as your, sort of most improved player, and I can understand why.
I've got a lot of time for Victor Poulsen. A lot of time. He's a great communicator on the pitch. He's clearly a massive guy to have around the changing room. He's very infectious with his celebrations and his talking to players. One of the things that in my mind is the 2-2 away at Sunderland, when Hardy got the goal that was given eventually as an own goal, but it broke his duck. Although it didn't break his duck, he pulled every single player into that huddle and pointed at Hardy to say, "You're off the bat. You've got to single down to third man to get yourself off a duck. Go and get it." That for me shows real leadership. When he's in the middle of that back three, on the right of that back three, the communication between the three centre halves, I think, is exceptional. And he's always got a quiet, when the drinks breaks, when there's an injury, he's always got a quiet word to say to somebody, to give them advice. He's a consummate professional. He's getting on a bit now, but I'd like to see him around the club for another couple of years.
Yeah, no, he's Carl. It's just what I love watching. Sort of people be leaders on the pitch, because for a long time and far too long, it was Edwards, also that player that went left us in January up the line. Even when he was given the armband by Foster, I sort of felt at the time like, why? Because on the pitch he's clearly not a leader, and doesn't want that pressure. So it's good that although we don't know what will happen with Katic, of course he may not come back, but to have Poulsen, to have Edwards there, to have Randall there, to have Plague even at times there, it's great that we've got more than one leader on the pitch now.
Yeah, hands down. I completely echo what Gav said. I think he was struggling massively under Rooney because he was out of position 9 times out of 10, playing on the right hand side, getting beaten against tricky wingers, getting turned inside out because he hasn't really got the pace, has he? But even then, he showed kind of the fight and the experience, but was just struggling with the opposition. But under Muslich being centrally, which is his best position, he's been absolutely on fire. He's been excellent. He's been coming out of his shell a lot more. He's really organising the defence. He's always, geeing up the younger boys when they come on, and just generally a really good guy to have around the place, and someone that I would love to take into League One, because I presume he's still got another year left on his contract, I believe.
Yeah,
I've done him as a service. Well, he's 34, not 38. Sorry, Victor.
You and your numbers tonight, Gav.
I'm going to get done here in a minute. By someone going, he's not. Yeah, he's got the stats are wrong again, Gav. Yeah, he's 34. He's got 2 years left in him at least, Carl, I'd say.
Right, and the experience he's got from playing at international level is going to be beneficial to the young lads as well to pass on. But really deserved award.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Victor Poulsen, our 0-2 Hero Award. Right, goal of the season. Again, one that you might disagree with, but I've got the video clip of it, so I shall just play it now quickly.
It is brilliant. Really is absolutely brilliant from Bundu.
Let me just start that again. Just
Favourite.
Clipped out of it. There we go.
It is brilliant. Really is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, go on, Gav.
What have you just done? It's class.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, and Randall had a good free kick as well. There's, it's sort of a difficult one really. For the goal of the season, without trying to recap every goal. But we decided to choose Mustafa Bundu. Let us know what your goal of the season was in the comments.
It's quite ironic. A lot of the goals of the season are players that are no longer here, like obviously Whittaker against Brentford.
Oh, you mentioned him. Damn it, Carl.
Sissoko had a few good goals, didn't he? Especially at home. And what was it? Andre Gray, when he scored his goal from the left-hand side of the box was a peach. So
yeah, maybe we shouldn't exclude players that have gone, but we like to keep it in-house still where we can. So that was goal of the season, Mustafa Bundu versus Derby County. Sadly, we went on to lose that in the dying minutes, and how costly that probably has proved to be. So the next award, moment of the season. I think this is going to be a fairly obvious one for all, but I shall, as I've done the notes, I shall read them out. The big Premier League side, Ty, had the now Premier League champions, and then one of the best sides in Europe come to home park. A resilient Argyle under a typical music style had their players frustrated. The typical attacking flow and style of the league champions couldn't break Argyle's structure. As is often the case with Music Ball, the opportunities, although few, do come. And when it did, we saw a blatant handball in the box, resulting in a penalty. Up steps Ryan Hardy. Yep, the man of the moment. He himself, who has come to life again. Excuse me, put my teeth back in under Muslich, and he slotted away the penalty, sending the home park crowd delirious. Holding on for the rest of the first half and the second, Hardy's goal was enough to see us through to the next round for the tie against Manchester City, which we sort of touched upon this with the presentation slide earlier on the season recap. But of course, yes, the moment of the season, you could probably argue goes to the FA Cup really overall. But beating Brentford away and then beating Liverpool, which at the time, Carl, had only lost to Nottingham Forest, and to think that the mighty Greens beat the eventual Premier League champions.
yeah, stuff of dreams, isn't it? Especially the Liverpool game. And obviously it wasn't a full strength side, but they had a really good front line, multi-million-pound players, and even they brought on some of their top players at the end, and they still couldn't rescue the game. We defended brilliantly. The atmosphere was incredible, and I loved Hardy getting the winner for that game as well. So yeah, live long in the memory, along with the Man City game. Scoring first there was brilliant. But yeah, that will something to tell the grandkids about, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that whole FA Cup run. You just like we said earlier, when you get it. I won't dwell on it too much more now because obviously we did earlier. But yeah, when those opportunities come, it's just the magic of the FA Cup. So yeah, that was our moment of the season. So now coming to our final and biggest award. Yes, it's Player of the Season. Caused a lot of debate in the Block 9 WhatsApp group. I think there's a couple of notable ones in there, and also somewhere you're picking the second half and more recent performances as well to add to that. So yeah, I've created a little VT for it. So I'm going to roll that now, and well, actually, before I do that, I'll just read this out. Awarded to the standout performer who consistently delivered exceptional performances throughout the campaign. Also, one that was also not in favour with Rooney, but since his sacking, he has really grabbed his opportunity and run with it. A reliable stalwart in defence, part of a formidable lineup with Katic and Maxi, and being relied upon when injuries hit. Pleggy has shown I've given it away now. Amazing commitment, determination. It was pretty obvious though. Determination and fight in this campaign. Even taking one for the team in the ribs from Katic as well, but not keeping him out for long, mind. Turning into even more of a fan favourite under Muslich and confirming his services for another 2 years. We're lucky to have a player like this. Our Block 9 player of the season goes to, as you just heard, but I will run the VT now.
And it's a lovely shaping delivery, and it's stabbed in! Julio Plegazuela reels away!
Yeah, there we go. So our player of the season goes to Julio Plegazuela, and I bring up his stats on the screen there from FOTMob. And this is not, and I'll give context. I said I'd bring it up later. Carl alluded to it earlier in the show when we were reviewing the FA Cup. Upon leaving the ground at the Etihad, yes, Pleggy's wife Georgia did stop me and say, "Are you that guy from TikTok?" Or, "Oh my God, it's you from TikTok," actually, to be precise. Pleggy and I love watching you, which obviously, as you can imagine, made me go bright red, but also absolutely loved it. So yes, he's been, I've sort of mentioned him a couple of times as a few other players. We said this award, was a difficult one to decide upon. Carl went for Hardy himself in that, and I can understand that as well. And he obviously won the overall player of the season at the club as well, handed out after the lead, or before actually the Leeds game. So look at his stats up there. Obviously, one goal, which we showed there, started only 23 games, minutes played 1,968. He has the third highest FOTMob rating for an Argyle player of 6.83, with 8 yellow cards as well, with no reds, which is not a surprise, obviously, for a defence. And you can see his player traits in the upper corner there. It's not about the fact that he might have seen a few of my TikToks with his wife Georgia, and if you are watching tonight, good evening. But yeah, he's just been a breath of fresh air. The likes of Sorinola, Gavin, as well, and Paulson at that time, who really stepped up to the fore.
Yeah, he's been a very consistent performer under Muslich. He wears his heart on his sleeve on the pitch. He's a great communicator. He is a great defender. He's good with his feet. For a reasonably small centre half, he's very good in the air, and he wins a lot of aerial duels, which is also handy. I think he's what I would consider to be a thinking man centre half, if there is such a thing. which complements that back three really well when it's him and Maxi and Katic, or him and Paulson and Maxi. So glad he's signed for another 2 years. Massive addition to the club. I remember his first game was against Cheltenham, I think, in the Carabao Cup. I managed to sit, got a late seat, sat in Zoom corner where it is normally. And there wasn't many, I think 10,000 in the stadium. And just his communication that day and the way he passed the ball, I said to my brother at the time, this guy could be our future captain here. He seems really, really strong. Obviously, he's had great pedigree and he's come from Arsenal and Barcelona in terms of youth ranks. And seems a very good all-round guy. But I think potentially could still wear the armband in the next couple of years, depending on what goes on and off the field. And for me, he was a standout player week in, week out, never put a foot wrong. And despite what Fault Mob say, I would say he's probably 7.5 to 8 every week.
Yeah, he's it's just a pleasure. I remember his first game, Carl, when he joined us, and it was a brilliant game. And I remember listening to podcasts then before it was even a flicker in my eye, the Block 9, but he put on a great performance, and then sort of stuttered a little bit, I think, there afterwards, and fell a bit out of favour, didn't he? But yeah, he's had a brilliant, and it's great to see him sign for another 2 years.
Yeah, he's really settled here, isn't he? I think he's found his home now. Again, another player we can rely on, especially with injuries as well, because he'll play through the pain barrier. He wants to get back to playing. It's a shame he missed some crucial games for us with injuries, which he couldn't obviously play through. But yeah, he's a vital member of the squad. And he's cemented himself as one of the starting positions at the back now for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve, your thoughts on Julio Pleguezuelo?
Yeah, he's well deserved as well, and he's been outstanding. Obviously, even when he played under Rooney, he showed his leadership, and he puts his body on the line, and chipping in with some goals as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, it's an honour to give out the award. Look, the fact that we, have this show that we bring to you, and again, everybody that's joined us tonight, really, really appreciated, to be able to sort of give out your own awards as well, and mix a few in there, because like we said, there was a lot of players that were deserving, really in this season, even though, overall there wasn't enough to keep us in the league, and to a little bit of a final surprise for everybody. So, as you know, we like to do, I played around with our merchandise recently, and you can see this Block 9 mug. That's my one with the Crazy Pilgrim on there. We're sort of like expanding what we're trying to do, and I said in the off season that's what we're looking to do. So one of the things that I said we'll do for the winner of our player of the season is actually I'll do a custom mug and give it to the player. Thank you to, who's the receptionist, Gavin, at Argyle? Wendy. Thank you to Wendy. We were in hospitality care of Gavin. Thanks to Gavin and Dave, Carl and I was able to take the mug, the gift prize in for her to pass down. And he has sent us a shot. Let me just get rid of our ugly mugs off here. There we go. Sent me a photo earlier on today with his, so you can see to the left of your screen there, it's his Block 9 mug that's got his profile and his kit picture on. It does say player of the season, and he's also got a team mug as well, as he's proudly picked the Crazy Pilgrim at the front. So that's fantastic, and I appreciate him for sharing that. And also, I have to thank my wife for producing these mugs. So I did all the designs, so I'll get all the credit, folks, right, don't I? But no, Joe has the tools. My wife, Joe, has the tools to print them on the mugs. This is done in house. This is not. We don't go and do it online. So we do it all in house. The boxes, the labeling, and everything. So my appreciation goes out to her for all these mugs that she's wanted us to, or that we've wanted her to produce for us. And as Voodoo said, friends. Yes, so it's not only Voodoo who has a new friend at Home Park. It's also me. But yeah,
are we going to be willy waving now with Voodoo about who's got the best friend at Home Park? I have to say, Voodoo wins at the minute.
Yeah, all right. So let me just switch back to our presentation. So look, fantastic, and I think it's good. Let's hope he stays for the new season. I don't see any reason why not. And you never know, we might get him on a show for before that League One campaign kicks off. Speaking of mugs. And not just Carl. We also come on to. We've just got a little picture here of Nick Gianotti with his. Let me just move that with his Block 9 podcast mug. So we gave again while we're in hospitality. Carl speaks to Nick every now and then. We also gave him a mug, and there might have been a couple more that might have found their way over. If you remember that from earlier, where I showed Tom Kirk and Argyle from Pilgrim's Pod, who went to grab that mug from Nick, but luckily, as you can see, he managed to take that back to DC with him. But all good fun. So as I just go back to the presentation, and also those that have bought the mugs, we've had a few purchases in there. Ben, who's in tonight, and also Martin Ingham, who doesn't look like he's been able to join us tonight because he normally puts in the comments, but I hope you're well, Martin, and also Voodoo, with post here, Spanish friends, absolutely. So look, this is ourselves, the Block 9 podcast, as I've said, with our early beginnings on TikTok. And look, it's just a massive thank you really from us to everybody that's joined us on this journey. Since starting in July last season, like I said, on TikTok, and eventually migrating to YouTube and X, with over 50 shows now, which still blows my mind, brought to you this season. We have enjoyed the experience and the ride. From Carl and I streaming live outside of Home Park in the summer for shits and giggles, as I've put here, and the famous black Range Rover that lit up Twitter. It was a random punt, that one, and Carl was brave enough, or maybe silly enough, to join me on that, and that did blow up a little bit on TikTok where we streamed it. But
I remember that one.
Yeah, absolutely. To Andy joining Carl and I should say, for our very first Block 9 post-match review as well on TikTok. So growing the show with Gavin joining not long afterwards, Steve, and later paramedic Emma and Herbie, who can't join us tonight, sadly, along with Andy, with the guest appearances too from Harvey England, and also Nick, as we had on earlier, from PAFC Displays. So we thank you all and are really excited for what we're going to bring to you next season. We just want to do our thing and do something a bit different there. We're not trying to compete at all. We want to bring a bit of a different style to it. But on that note, it is worth giving a shout out to the other two shows that are very, very popular with the Argyle fans. The Pilgrim's Pod, as I mentioned just now, and also Argyle Life. Like I said, a lot of time and commitment goes into producing these. So fair shout out to everybody. So just as a final one here, so you can check us out, obviously, of course, and please go and give us a follow. We are now on Instagram, just set that one up recently. Obviously, of course, X, as you can see, a couple of us streaming on there. YouTube, Blue Sky, and Facebook too. So give us a like, a follow, and if you're on YouTube, a subscribe there as well. If you're not, please go to YouTube and give us another one. Yeah, just Voodoo saying, oh, there are other pods. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. So look, that's it really from us, to be fair. I'm going to just run this one VT as well before we come back, that I got from Voodoo, which I thought was hilarious. So to end on this one with our defensive pairing that joined us, including, Maxi.
5 years ago, 3 East European psychopaths were imprisoned for crimes against other footballers, including humiliation, intimidation, kidnap, and murder. Now they have been released and brought back together again, working undercover somewhere in the southwest of England. If you want to kill, maim, or just rattle your opposition, maybe you could call the defense.
Those tattoos. Oh, brilliant! I tell you what, some great content and mashups there. Voodoo, as always, appreciated for sending them to me to pit on as well. So, yeah, look. So some final thoughts from us. I just want to check my notables to add on to the end. Obviously, we mentioned the travelling faithful, the Green Army, clocking up thousands of miles this season. Went to 2 games with Gavin, myself, Stoke and Bristol City. Haven't done that for a while since having the kids, but it was great to get out and definitely got a buzz back again. Obviously, we had Nick from PAFC Displays on with us earlier and the great work they're doing. Jimmy Dickinson, Abner Brzezinski, I don't know if I pronounced that right, probably not. Ross Goodwin, we wish them all well. And of course, Kevin Nanskaville, a special mention as well for him, a man that is the epitome of Plymouth Argyle and also given the keys to the city this year. Obviously stepped in again with Edwards as we were waiting to appoint Rooney. So a few just special mentions there. So final wrap up of our 24-25 Block 9 Championship season. Gavin, what's your final thoughts?
I'm content where we are, as long as a certain man who's probably having a nice port or brandy at the moment with Voodoo in his chalet
Fanta lemon
comes back to us. Voodoo, make sure that you've packed his passport and his socks and pants for when he comes back again, please. But yeah, if he comes back, I don't think we've got any problems as a club at all. There's a bit going on behind the scenes, and that'll, I think, iron itself out. But I think on the footballing side, Mirren comes back, no matter what's left in terms of the squad, we'll rebuild. So I'm looking forward to League One. We'll win more than we lose. I think that seems quite a weak league next year. And it'll be nice going to a game not thinking, are we going to get hammered? Yeah, I am. He doesn't drink. It says Voodoo. That's brilliant. I'm looking forward to next year with some optimism. But I'm relieved. I think we've had 2 years of walking this tightrope, haven't we, as a club? It's not been good for anyone's mental health, and Andy would bear testament to that from the live lounge that he did for us. So looking forward to next season with some renewed optimism and a league where we can be more than competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to point out, I know Pilgrim PE, who's been with us most of the night, as well as a few others on here, but has asked a couple of questions on, who we're looking, who would we be looking to move on. I'm going to not go into those. We did a little bit of that on Thursday's live lounge. This was all about trying to get through the season recap and the awards, and we've just breached over the 2-hour mark where we thought it would get to. But no, it's not to say that this is the last show as well. Before I just come to Carl, we're gonna pick up things if news breaks in any drastic way. We'll of course jump on and discuss that. But Carl, did you think almost a year ago now that you'd be sat here on this podcast after the shenanigans, like I said, at Home Park, where you had to suffer the embarrassment of me dragging you up there to go live on TikTok for the transfer deadline day?
I didn't, mate. I don't know what came over me joining you down there, but no, it was a good laugh. Got us out of the house. We had the kids down there as well. There's nothing serious in it. We're just having a little play around, not me.
Yeah, and Beidou let us down, didn't they? They couldn't get it over the line, eh?
Exactly.
So, your final thoughts on the show overall, then?
We've come a long way since our Twitter Spaces days. Even
that.
Even me getting you into that originally as well. So.
Sorry, everybody. It is Carl's fault that you have to put up with me. Yeah.
But no, coming from TikTok onto these channels was probably the best decision we probably made, because it's a difficult audience on TikTok, and to get everyone's opinions across, and the way the layout is and stuff is quite tricky. So doing this was really benefited us in lots of different ways.
I think the plus side of TikTok is you can engage people very quickly in your live shows, for those that have never experienced that. So if you picture Twitter Space or X Spaces, sorry, got to stop calling it that, with video, which I believe they started to do now, but that's what it's like. So you can easily bring people in. We've met some brilliant fans on there. I sort of my following on there has just blown me away. And it just, it's great to keep on putting the content out there. So it's certainly, I never thought I'd be I'll be doing this. That's for sure. 12 months ago,
And I think adding our live lounges and obviously some ideas we've got for the future as well, which is going to be interesting to look into.
Yeah, exactly. We got a few more ideas, irons in the fire, as they say. Steve, obviously you watched us a lot on TikTok in those early days as well, and then came into the fold. Apologies for that as well. But yeah, how have you found? How have you found sort of joining these lives from our TikTok days to YouTube and X now?
I find it great actually. Bit of fun as well. And obviously share our views and what we can do going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great to have you on board, and shout outs, like I said, to Andy, who's been with us on this since day one. As Carl alluded to, when we were originally under the HP source, for those that remember that, and that one time we went live first on X, and he left me in the room for 10 minutes on my own, just after or around I can't remember actually what was around that, Rooney or something. But yes, he couldn't get in, and I had to waffle for 10 minutes. But like that was a problem.
It's probably 25.
So shout out to Andy, because I know you would have desperately liked to have got on tonight, and also Paramedic Emma on X, who joined us a couple of months ago as well. She's done a couple of our live lounges with us. Couldn't be on tonight because the kids' timing is always a challenge with family, that's for sure. But looking forward to getting Emma more involved, and a couple of ideas there going into the new season as well. And young Herbie, who's just doing his exams, who's been brilliant to have on a couple of shows. His knowledge, understanding of the game. He's wanting to be a sports journalist. He's going to provide us hopefully next season with more regular match previews and or reviews and previews, or preview reviews. That's the right way around. So big shout out to him tonight, and hopefully he won his football game. That's about it from us for our final show of the championship campaign. We go on to League One. Let's see what that brings. But absolutely, it's a real privilege to have you all watch us and support us. Like I said, I don't know why Carl's got a raining cloud above his head, but if those of you that are watching, but yeah, honestly, it means a lot when you put a lot of effort and time into doing this. From me, absolutely, thank you very much. Gavin, any final words?
Enjoy the summer. We'll see you all again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Carl, last words from you.
I'm being eyeballed at. I need to get out of the bedroom now.
Cheers.
There you go. Like
you finished it? You finished it?
Anyway, I'll wrap it up on that note then. So thanks everybody for joining us. Please, like I said, share it around, tell your friends and family, go like, subscribe, all that jazz. But other than that, enjoy the postseason. We'll let you know when we're back. Just monitor the socials, and we'll see you then.